So hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're also welcome. My name is Nell, and on my channel we come here to get inspired, to get a mindset that's gonna take us higher and higher to the best version of ourselves. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege and honor of being on an Instagram live. This is an Instagram live page of my best friend in the whole world, and we got to discuss a couple of things on my journey that I think is going to benefit you. So in my quiet time, as I was reflecting, the Holy Spirit prompted me, to share this live with you, and I hope that it's gonna bless you. Grab your favorite drink. I'm grabbing my coffee and my cupcakes, and let's get started. I hope you enjoy this video.
Hi, Mimi. Can you hear me, Mimi? Mimi, please let me know if you can hear me so I can check if the sound is fine. Hi, Hetty. Welcome. Can you hear me, Hetty? Great. Perfect. Thank you, ladies. Noctrilla, how are you? Thank you. Great. Hi, Mommy. Hi, everybody, and welcome to my first Instagram Live. I'm quite nervous, so please bear with me. Hey. My name is Nana. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the head coach of the Self-Discovery Academy. The Self-Discovery Academy is a safe space where people come and get to understand themselves, get to know about who they are. We provide coaching, we give you tools, so you can get to know self and live the life that you want to live. Hey, Papa, welcome. As you join in, just let me know where you're joining in from. Okay? Cool. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be having conversations about different things of life. And today we're going to be talking about marriage. The big M. I know quite a few of you are married. And in today's talk, my guest is Neo Makoko. She's a single mother of one, and she works in the actuarial industry in the financial services. Okay. I see Neo has joined. Neo, can you request to be invited so we can start? Hi, Frank. Neo, just request to join. Otherwise, let me invite her. So as we're waiting for Neo to join us, tell me, are you guys married? Are any of you married? Hi, Neo.
Oh, hi.
How are you? Yes, I can see you.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Serious? Yes. I struggled
Yes.
to get in, but I'm here. I made it
Okay.
finally. Yes.
Great.
You can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Great.
Great. Kindly, please introduce yourself to our guests.
Just hold on a bit. I'm adjusting something.
Okay, no problem. experience been for you? Has it been smooth sailing throughout?
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back.
No worries.
Here.
Yes.
That's fine. Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm a mom and I am a friend, I'm a daughter, and I am a working professional in the actuarial field, and so I've been married before, and I'm no longer married at the moment, and yeah, so that's a brief introduction about myself, and yeah, I look forward to this interesting topic, so yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, great. So since we're talking about marriage, I want to start off by asking you about your general experience of marriage. How was it for you?
Wow. There's a lot that I can say, but personally, for me, I didn't have such a great experience. I would call it a sad experience. It was a bit rough and nothing that I expected. I had high hopes and dreams for this union and everything, and it was a little bit of a disappointment from what I expected. So yeah, I would say it was a little bit sad for me.
Hetty says she's married and it's been an interesting journey. So I can see that it's quite a journey for people to go through.
Definitely, most definitely.
Did you go in with any expectations?
Definitely. I expected that my then husband would be. He had potential, right, to be this amazing person. So I thought that he would fulfill that dream that I had for him. So I expected him to nurture me. I expected him to provide for me financially. I expected for him to succeed, so we can be successful. And yeah, to be happy to be somebody that can be somebody I can look up to, who can be a godly man and, cover us as a family. And yeah, and I expected him to change. There's certain things that I saw about him that, I didn't really like. And I thought, oh, awesome, I can change. I expected him to change and I was going to change him. So those are the expectations that I had, and I thought I would be that person. I would inspire this change, and I would bring about this change, and it was going to be great. So that's what I had. Yeah.
But did you communicate those expectations to him? Did you guys have a discussion, and why not?
So the sad thing about the whole thing is I had these expectations in my head. I thought it's unspoken or known truth. I assumed, I made assumptions, and I assumed that, the person knew what I expected, the person understood what marriage is about, and, so then they would understand somehow magically. He was supposed to figure out, all these expectations, and unfortunately, I never communicated. So, unspoken expectations, definitely.
But looking back now, don't you think you should have communicated?
Of course. So one of the things that he and I discussed was I actually apologized for that. I'm so sorry that I never, spoke about the expectations, that I had, that you never basically fulfilled, that you were not aware of, because I was expecting this person to fulfill something that they're not even aware of, But yeah, so I should have, definitely, yeah.
And you think that the way you grew up, the way you were raised, affected the way you were in marriage?
Most definitely. It affected me because, I had one picture of a little bit of a peek into my grandparents' marriage, and it was great, but I didn't really see much. So in my family, we don't have a lot of people that are married. So I had no template. I had nothing to to refer to. I basically had nothing. I had nothing to model after or to view. So that's the thing I had. I mean, it definitely impacted everything that I had because I had to figure a lot of the things out along the way, and I had nothing or no one to tell me like what it actually looks like. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's very interesting now. It's been quite a journey for you, hasn't it? So what happened that you started feeling a bit unsettled in the relationship?
Um, I was sad most of the time, and I was unhappy, and it's because when I saw my peers, my friends and colleagues and people that were around me that were married, and some of them were so happy, talking about, my husband did this, and my husband and I are doing this. I mean, it started to really eat up at me and made me realize, like, okay, this is what I want, but like, I don't have any of that. So I was sad most of the time. I was very unfulfilled. I was uninspired to, I used to be somebody who's very inspired to achieve and everything, and I felt like I never had that kind of support. So sad most of the time, unfulfilled, uninspired, to go for my dreams anymore. And hearing people having the life that I thought I would be having, it made me aware of where I was. And I started to question myself, like, what am I doing? Why am I here? What am I doing?
Hetty's asking how we should go about having conversations about expectations. Hetty, I would say we just have to be open. We have to check on if we're on the same page or not. And if we are not, how do we get to the same page? Do we have to make changes? Are these things that you can maybe agree to that maybe you weren't aware of? It's all about compromise, but open communication is the answer. And also, I think you have to look at yourself and ask yourself, why do you have those expectations? Is it because it's something you've been told? Is it something you see? Is it something which is necessary for you to thrive? So you need to question yourself. And Leo, I want to ask, so tell me, did you know who you were when you went into that marriage?
Oh, man.
Did you know what your true needs were and what you wanted?
Man, I thought I was confident. To some level, I think I had a level of confidence in myself, and I was a self-driven, goal-driven person. So I knew a little bit about myself, but to be quite honest with you, I had no idea. Now that I'm here, I can tell you, I didn't really know the depth of who I was. I didn't know what I need and all of that. I definitely didn't know. Hadn't figured out like that full person, like the deep, like who am I? I didn't really know, have that full view of myself.
Were there family expectations that affected things? And how would you advise people to manage expectations people have of you in marriage?
So, family expectations, to be quite honest with you, in my family never had those expectations. Instead, my mom would always want me to, to be independent and to reach for my goals. And it was never like, you need to be married, and that. That was self-inflicted. It's a desire that I personally had. So I wouldn't say that my family affected my decision, because in many instances, they pointed out some of the red flags that I wouldn't even I refused to look at that. So if anything, they never influenced my decision. It was all on me. It came from me. And I think it comes from, I'm a believer, I'm Christian, and maybe it comes from the Christian foundation of, to be a woman. Part of the journey is to be married, and I believe in God, and so I think it came from the church, more, the church foundation more than anything. So if we call it family, I would call that family. So it definitely came from because maybe came from the church family, but not like my personal family.
Okay. We have another question about expectations. Afia is asking, how do you go about changing expectations? 5 years down the line, you realize, actually, now I expect this and that. It's the question about we change. Therefore, what we want changes. So how do we go about that? What do you think about that? And I'll let you know what I think.
Okay. You just have to be vulnerable and open and authentic. You cannot, you have to, at all times, I think, communicate how you're feeling and how you change into your partner. You have to be true to yourself and be willing to disappoint the people around you by telling them who you are and what you actually really need at the particular time. So that would be your partner. You have to be brave enough to realize that, this is where I am now, and these are my needs, and if I don't fulfill them, or if I'm not fulfilled, like, what kind of life am I going to live? You just have to take that risk and be open, be willing to take that risk and be courageous about, what you're feeling and what you need at that particular time.
I like the fact that you used the word brave. I love the word brave because, unfortunately, we do change, people change. Yeah. And it's not fair on the other person. But unfortunately, if you aren't fulfilled, if you're unhappy, you can't actually feed the marriage. And you can't be there for the other person. So it's just one of those facts of life. So open communication, bravery, and actually trying to really make your point across. And also trying to fulfill their needs. That's where it starts. But bravery, I think, is key. Just being brave and being open. So Neo, tell me, how did you go about starting to get to know your true self? What steps did you start taking?
Yeah, so for some odd reason, I was always fascinated about personal development. So I had been reading, not only scripture, I'm a believer, and I read especially the book of Proverbs. It has a lot of advice about how to live life and all of that. But I've always been open to personal development and self-help books. And in this journey, I had always been reading. So the importance of reading and educating yourself and feeding your mind, with all these positive things, is quite important, because I think in the end that's what helped me. I kept feeding myself with different books, from Joyce Meyer, from books like self-help from Iyanla Vanzant. I don't know if people know Iyanla Vanzant. So I started following people like that, purchasing a lot of their books, listening to a lot of their conferences, and I started to know who I was, and starting I started to live my truth, and then I realized where I was and where I needed to change. So that's what actually started my journey of self-discovery and reading, a lot of reading.
Okay. I see we have two new joiners, Peko Edson and Matilda. Please let us know where you're joining from. And we're talking about marriage. If you have any comments, please put them in. So Neo, as you're going through this journey, were you communicating your growth to your partner? Were you being open? Were you sharing?
Yes. So remember in the beginning I said I could see this person is sort of uninspired and whatever, but as I'm growing, I would share a lot of what I'm learning with him, and of course the books. He would see me reading, and I would basically, shove it in his face and show the person, because I was so enthusiastic about, now that I've learned this, let's learn together. But the books would just sit there time and time again, over and over. And eventually, at some point, I just stopped sharing. I guess I was also outgrowing the person, but I did initially share. And because of the disappointment of the rejection, so to speak, or the non-response, I just I let it go, and I just moved on. Yeah.
Do you think that premarital counseling would have helped? Hetty's asking.
I think so. I think, and by the way, he refused to he didn't believe in that, right? So I'm not, I mean, we have different beliefs, and the person didn't believe in that. I believed in it, and I sort of let it go again, right? I forgot about, what I needed. I forgot. It would have helped because I think we would have figured out a lot of these things, like where we don't align, where our values don't align, and I think it's a great thing. Everybody should go through that. When you go through with that, you shouldn't go through it with a mindset that we're doing it to get married, but rather doing it to see if we can get married and whether we're on the same path. And I think it would have helped, definitely helped, yeah.
How do you think having a child affected things? Did it make things more difficult or easier?
For the marriage,
Yes, for the marriage.
it definitely could. Personally, for me, it was. I think having a child was also part of my awakening as a person, but it made things even more difficult because now we added, it added more strain. I had a bigger load to carry. Not only did I need to be there for him for the marriage, but it added more strain. But at the same time, it really woke me up to a new world. Yeah.
Now, if you had to speak to your, what should I say, if I remember, your 23, 24-year-old self, what advice would you give her?
Man, you've got greatness inside you. You can be, do, and have anything that you dream. And you are God's child, you've got so much potential, and you need to go for your dreams. You don't need a man's, validation to actually, realize your potential and live your dream and to be fulfilled. You don't need. Rather find out who you are. Take the time to know who you are and what you need and what's important to you, instead of focusing on somebody else that you think is going to give you those things. You don't need any of it. You just need to focus on the love that God has for you, and understand that you have you have light. Only you can actually give yourself happiness at the end of the day, right? Discover who you are. Don't be in a rush. That's it. That's basically what I would say.
So from what you've said, I get the feeling that you didn't get validation from yourself. It was all from him.
Sadly, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm even questioning the confidence that I actually thought I had. What was that? I don't even know what it, was it really confidence? I don't know what it was, but as soon as I got the attention from him, maybe because he was, I don't know, I've never had attention maybe from a good looking man or whatever. It meant so much to me, and then I started to basically look, for that validation and approval, to feel good, about myself. Yeah, that was definitely part of it.
And I remember that, as we're young, as women, we want romance. We want to be treated a certain way, right? Yeah, and you were not getting that treatment, right? So what I've always wondered, why did you think that you didn't need that? Why did you feel that wasn't important?
Because he wasn't willing to be that person. He wasn't that person, and I was looking to this man, for everything. For me, it goes back to the validation and the approval from him. And he was so, no, I don't do these things, and because I'm looking up to him for that approval, and, so everything that he says basically kind of goes. And I kind of let that go. And it was because of that, nothing else. Yeah.
And I know when people get married, sometimes they get locked up in this bubble where it's only about them, right? You were locked up in a bubble where you didn't actually communicate with people, you didn't actually see your family, it was just about the two of you. You know? Can you please advise people on that, on the danger of it?
Yeah. You need to be, your parents and your friends that love you, they've always been a part of your life until that point, right?
Mm.
So they definitely have a better insight, and they definitely have, how can I say, good intentions for you, even though you think they don't, right? So you can't let somebody new come into your life, and if somebody is going to be in your life and actually take you away from the people that you love and they care about you the most, that's a red flag. Like, you need to question that, because now my mother was a bad, everybody was a bad person. Somebody did something, but I put it on myself as well, because there's things that I would communicate, like about, I know my family well and some of their habits and whatever, and I would communicate that, and maybe the person, took that to another level, or made me, we saw it now on another level, that, of course I can't have these people. This is how they behave. We don't need them. And because I looked up to him, obviously now I started to isolate myself from all the people, because now, they're not really that good for me anyway, But then you get inside this little bubble where you're sort of like, the person is like a puppet. You're like on a what is it? You're a puppet on something.
Yeah.
You are controlled emotionally. I didn't see any of it. I didn't even realize I was emotionally being controlled. Whether it was intentional or not intentional, I can't even name, but whatever it was, I was controlled. And there's no way you can live your life without family and friends, so you have to be careful of somebody. It's a red flag if somebody wants to isolate you from the people that you love the most. Yeah. So never, even if they do isolate you, I think, you must make sure. I don't know how you need to get out of it, but just don't.
Would you say that isolation started before the marriage?
Slightly, right? But it happened. So now, once you in this union now, now you won. And remember, I'm a believer, and you cling to your wife and you cling to your husband, and it made sense. But of course it doesn't make sense when it doesn't mean that you disregard your family and stuff. But yeah, it definitely started a little bit before then. I didn't see any of it, but it started then, and I should have seen those red flags.
And the situation, how did it affect you at work? The rest of your life. What other areas were affected and how?
Okay. I stopped engaging. I stopped living life, basically. I stopped being myself. I love going out with people, meeting new people, networking. Because that's how you make it in this life, So at work functions, I remember the person, I couldn't even take him to my workplace because the person was uncomfortable, everything was uncomfortable. So I stopped socializing, I cut myself from my colleagues, and I couldn't attend work functions in a headspace, and then I cut out my friends, I cut out you at some point, because what happens is the person isolates you from people who are supposed to, they're basically showing you that light of who you are and who you're supposed to be, right? So everybody had something, and I isolated you because I knew that you were showing me things that I was supposed to see, and I knew you were showing it to me, but I just wasn't going to have it. I isolated myself from you, from my family, and I went through this by myself,
And because you were alone, I can imagine how difficult it is, And the societal pressure, people are always saying, stay in your marriage, make it work, you have a child. Where did you get that strength from to come out of it?
Like I said, so yeah, it was very hard for sure. And I have to tell you this as well. I mean, I did try to make it work, that whole make it work. I'm a believer as well. But so when you try to make it work and then you become the best version of, the best wife, the best mother, and the best everything, and nothing else changes, I mean, then what are we doing here, So what got me, that personal development that I kept doing and I carried on with that a lot. And when it finally clicked, when I finally knew who I was, and what I had come here to do in this world, and when I finally realized my potential and that I didn't need anybody's validation to be who I was, and I'm the only one who gets to decide what happens in my life, then that's what clicked to me, and then I just decided this is it. If I'm not getting my needs, if I'm not getting what I need, if I'm not living my best life, I have to get out of this and disappoint a lot of people. I had to disappoint a lot of people, and I realized, they're not living my life, and they don't know what I'm going through. It's not about them. I know they care about, staying, but they don't know the details. They have nothing. I'm the one who's living this life, and I wasn't going to do that anymore. I had to be true to myself. I had to be true to everybody else about the truth that I know about myself. And I just all of a sudden had a click, and I've never looked back. So that's what got me there. The reading, the books, everything had helped me to develop into this person. And I knew I couldn't do that anymore. That's it.
Papa says personal development is key and it makes sense. Hetty says this is a great conversation. Matilda's asking, are you planning to get married again?
Absolutely. So, I know that I didn't. So what I've learned is that just because I chose the wrong person, or I chose somebody that I'm not, compatible with, doesn't make marriage a goal or something to be had. I think marriage is beautiful, and I would never bash marriage. I think it's a beautiful thing. I just personally didn't experience what I was expecting, and now that I've learned a lot, I understand that I can make it. I can make the best choice, of a man, somebody that I can take on this journey with me. It won't be perfect, but I know that I can definitely attract somebody who's like me, so we can walk this journey together. So definitely, I look forward to my next one. Definitely.
Now that you've found yourself and you're living your truth, how has it affected your relationships with other people, and how has it affected you at work?
Wow. The joy that I feel, I have so much joy. I have so much peace. I can literally be myself without worrying about what other people think. I'm living my truth. My friendships are richer. I'm more vulnerable than I've ever been, and I have beautiful relationships. My relationships with my family were also strained, and we have restored that just by being honest and being who you are, so people know the real you. I have peace, I have joy. I'm having a time of my life. Even at work, I'm flourishing. I've resumed, that passion and that drive and those goals that I've had, I'm back. I'm back. I'm carrying on with my board exams. I'm attracting better opportunities and better people and networking better. So life is really great.
And with this experience, the experience of going into a situation where you don't know yourself and the dangers that it can bring, has it changed the way you raised your daughter?
Most definitely. So I think the key moment while I was in it that made me realize I needed to get out or I needed to change. I think she was a big inspiration. She inspired me because I realized, like, what am I modeling to her about? I'm telling her, I'm preaching, she needs to go for her dreams and she needs to go for her goals and she needs to, realize her potential and be happy. And here I am, miserable. I realized that I needed to model that for her. And even if it's difficult, I have to show her that she needs to still go for what she needs and what she dreams of. And so it's changed me a lot. And she's actually a big inspiration. She inspires me a lot to be this person that I am, because I want her to be that woman, that girl that did it, that goes for her dreams, who lives her truth, and is unapologetic about that, and having peace, joy, and experiencing life to the full.
That's great. Hetty is asking what role coaching plays in marriage. What do you think?
I think it helps us to, you should have a goal in marriage. It helps us to reconnect, to keep reconnecting and making sure we're on the same page. So we keep we have to, because we're always changing. My needs are changing, and because we're always growing, right, and developing. My needs are always changing. So coaching, provides that facility as that platform that will bring the two of us together. Where maybe having somebody sit with us, we can sit there and figure out, like, where are we going constantly. So I'm a big advocate of that, and I will definitely do that with my partner. I vote for that any day, because it helps you to put everything on the table, see where you're going and where you're going wrong, where you need to improve. It's absolutely important. I don't know how I actually did what I did, without seeking counsel from anybody. There's people who are very qualified to do that, can help you with that. And I think, you're also one person that actually, if I may say, you've always counseled me, and you were part of that journey. You made me realize, like, things about myself that I needed to improve. And I had to reflect, you reflected back to me a lot of things that I needed to change, and it helped me a lot. And you still helping me today, talking to me and all of that. So it's very important. That's how it helps.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It makes me think there were times where you would say you were going to do certain things and you wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think if you didn't have somebody who held you accountable, that you may not have gotten to where you needed to be?
Absolutely, because you were definitely that coach. And that's why I had to isolate you at some point in my life, because I knew that I could, like, you were making me see my true self. So I knew that I couldn't not be myself, right? I needed to be that other person and whatever at the time. And I knew that I would have to change and do something. Yeah, so there's definitely people in our lives that, are important to shine that light on you and to help you get there. So my mom, my parents, everybody had an influence, and you definitely had that influence. For me,
I see Annie has joined us. Sorry, Neo. Hi, Annie. Can you let us know where you're from, Annie? We're just discussing marriage here. So, Neo, how are you going about your relationships now? What has changed?
Oh, wow. I've done a lot of work on myself. Now that I know who I am, once you know who you are, you actually start to understand what you need as a person. And what you need is very different from somebody else. So you have wants and you have needs. And how I approach my relationships now is I have certain needs, and when I'm dating somebody, I'm actually looking out for those needs that I have that I know are gonna fulfill me, or let me say it's part of my purpose and my journey in my life. Somebody that's gonna allow me, give me that platform to continue to flourish, you know. So it's changed a lot. I'm actually having a lot more fun dating. I'm different. I'm not desperate for anything. Like, I don't need to be married. So there's less pressure. And when you know who you are, I mean, I don't need to be. So if it didn't happen, I would still be okay. So it helps you to actually really look at things properly, like what do I need, what do I not need, so you can make that, better choices.
That's great. And it's been said that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Do you agree? And do you think that the self-discovery journey ever ends?
Absolutely. Because had I not known myself or figured out who I was, I mean, I would have never left. Probably, I don't know where, I wonder where I would have been. So self-discovery never ends. I'm continuing to work on myself. I'm forever changing and growing and becoming better. So it never ends, and it's something that I will continue to do for the rest of my life, for sure. No, it doesn't stop. You keep learning. There's always things to keep learning. The people around you, the relationships that you have, keep showing you what you need to learn, and so it doesn't stop. And I'm open to that. Yeah.
What advice or what message would you give to somebody who's considering self-discovery coaching?
Go for it. Go for it. It's going to help you see the things that you don't even see. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't have seen, like I said, had I not been open to coaching from different people, whether it was my mom, whether it was you. At some point I had a therapist, a psychologist. I mean, there's no way I would have been here, so you need to be open to it. Go for it. Absolutely recommend it.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing, Nayo. Thank you so much for sharing this incredible, vulnerable journey with us. We truly appreciate it. And I'm sure we've all learned something. We've all taken away something from it. I just want to thank everybody who's joined us. It's been great. And thank you for just joining the narrative and for sharing and for asking questions and taking part. If anybody wants to know more about what the Self-Discovery Academy does, please send me a DM saying consultation and we'll get back to you. And maybe we can start a journey together. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks, Nayo.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.